Hello and welcome to Teaching End of Course Scenarios. Final scenarios for classes that are not stacked. Final scenarios for lay responder courses should be ran at the course conclusion, not throughout the course. That means when you finish the class, it's right at the end. Final scenarios for the lay responder courses should be prompted by the course participants, not the instructors. Final scenarios for the C-Pro course should be prompted by the instructor. How do I get my class participants to prompt scenarios? The first thing you should do is ask your participants to find a partner. Then you should give each pair the appropriate scenario worksheet. You can refer to page 71 in your instructor's manual to ensure that you're using the correct scenarios for the components that are being taught that day. If more than one scenario is used, have participants switch roles. It is not necessary for each participant to do each scenario as the responder. A good thing you can do is explain that this exercise is similar to a skit, but used to test the participant's knowledge. You should be circulating between the groups, making observations, and giving corrective feedback. Scenarios for stacked classes. Because we're stacking multiple courses with each other, you'll have to give the scenario throughout the course. So at the end of adult CPR, you would do the adult scenario. At the end of first aid, you would do the first aid. And at the end of each stacked course, you'll give that scenario to the entire group that's there for that portion. Scenarios for blended learning courses. With the lay responder blended learning course, we don't have any final scenarios. So the lay responder blended learning course, we don't have any final scenarios. However, with the C-Pro blended learning courses, we do have scenarios. You're going to do an adult or a child scenario and an infant course scenario. You're going to refer to 36 in your blended learning instructor's manual for C-Pro, and it will give you more direction on this scenario process. Participant-led best practices. First thing is make sure you got your classroom set up when you're thinking about doing final scenarios. Ensure that you can view all the participants and monitor the success of the scenario while providing feedback. For example, you can make a circle out of your classroom and you stand in the middle so you can just kind of move around and see everyone. Instructors make 2 rows and they walk up and down the middle of them to be able to see everyone. But remember, your classroom setup is very important. The next thing is make sure you have enough copies of the scenarios for each group. And every person doesn't need one, just the prompter. An example of a scenario is that with the adult scenario, you have one student performing the skills on the mannequin and the other student is prompting the steps from that copy. Some instructors put all the copies on the back of the table and allow the students to change scenario as they complete them. Or you can control the environment and have them complete each scenario as a group, meaning every small group completes it before you move on with the large group to the next scenario. Participant-led best practices. What happens if you run into a student who can't read? If possible, you could make a group of 3 where that student doesn't have to be the prompters. Or if you run into a large group that you have several students who cannot read, then you're going to have to be the prompter. This should only occur rarely in special circumstances and not on a regular basis. With your AED scenarios, we're going to make an exception and let it be led by the instructor in both the lay and the pro, because we really would prefer just to have your AED talk so that all the AEDs are not drowning out the students' responses, and it makes it easier for you to do your observations to ensure that the students are getting the content they should be getting for AED. let's talk about a best practice with a visual aid. I'd like for you to take the time over the next week to view the segment below. The segment below shows you a model demonstration of instructor-led and participant-led scenarios. You can find the segment on the back of the Lay Responder DVD under Instructor Segments, Conducting Final Scenarios, or on the Instructor's Corner, you can find the segment on Conducting Final Scenarios. I've provided the link below for you. The phrase for this section of the training is "is." The phrase for this training of the section is "is." Thank you.